Hello and welcome. You're listening to Utilitas Energy Matters podcast. My name is Martin Long, and it's here we speak to people across the business to give you more information about the energy matters that matter to you. We're here to answer your questions, the things you ask us about the most, and anything that we think you should know about too. This is Energy Matters podcast number 3, and we're asking the question, where does my money go? Today I'm joined by Archie Lasseter, who's had a lot of experience in pricing, and he's going to tell us exactly that. Hi Archie, thanks for joining us today.
Hiya, good to be here, man.
And so Archie, if it's all right, you're going to give us a bit of a breakdown, aren't you, of what makes up the average cost of an energy bill across all the suppliers?
Yeah, of course. So I think it's always useful to start with an analogy for the energy industry. So I'm going to use food, and more precisely, I'm going to use apples. So the question would be, how is the price for that apple figured out? Firstly, that apple has to be grown by a farmer, and then when that apple is ripe, the farmer sells it to a company that processes them, washes them and packages them up, and then sells it to a supermarket. As a customer, I don't want to go and pay the farmer individually, pay the processor individually, pay the supermarket individually. So the supermarket bundles that kind of cost up. So energy is just the same. Gas is farmed or pumped out of the ground and is transported to a processing plant where it's refined, and then it's piped in a national network of underground pipes to our homes where we burn it for cooking or heating. Likewise, for electricity is farmed or it's generated by burning coal or increasingly through wind farms and solar farms. And then it's transported via a national network of overhead cables to our homes. So when we turn the lights on, they come on. So like supermarkets, energy suppliers add up all of these costs and a little bit more to provide the service so that you only have to pay one company, one supplier like Utilita. So for every single pound that you top up, there's a proportion of it goes to each one of those participants. And this is regulated by Ofgem. So there's an industry regulator, Ofgem, that determines the maximum a supplier can charge and therefore profit a supplier can make. So all the figures I'm about to talk about are all straight from Ofgem.
Right.
So yeah, we've got a series of different costs. So the first cost, the biggest slice of every pound that you top up with, 40p of that pound goes to the company that is pumping that gas out of the ground or generating that electricity from a wind farm or solar farm. The second cost, another 24p of it goes to the companies that own those networks of pipes or overhead cables to get the gas or electricity from the generator to the home. Cost 3, which is called government, environmental and social obligations, a bit of a jargon name. Really what it is taxes and government schemes to help make the whole system more environmentally friendly.
So what sort of initiatives would that be then?
So this may be anything from schemes promoting energy saving, reducing emissions, and increasing the amount of renewable electricity that's on the grid. But we have to pay for these as a supplier. They're not opt-in, they're mandatory. Government determined that it should be that money should be raised through electricity and gas bills, and that they increase your bill by about another 14 pence of every pound that you top up.
Right, okay.
So then we've got cost 4, the operating costs of companies like Utilita. So that's about 15.5p. This will be things like operating a call centre so that our customers can get hold of us when they need to, or providing and managing smart meters, or managing a payment system so that our customers can top up reliably when they need to, or providing services that make that whole system more efficient. So things like our app, and that means you can top up on the go, and borrowing money for free when you need to. Then we've got the 2 smallest slices. So as with anything you buy, there's VAT, and VAT is discounted from the usual 20%. VAT for energy is another 5 pence for that pound. And then we've got the absolute smallest slice, suppliers' profits. So this is the money that suppliers like Utilita earn and take home at the end of the day from the top up. So every pound that you top up, that's about 1.5p goes to the supplier, and the rest goes to other supply chain participants, government taxes, or Utilitas operating costs, or other suppliers' operating costs.
Right.
So to kind of summarize that, there are two really important things to see here. Firstly, about 83p of every pound you top up goes to one of those other supply chain participants.
Definitely a lot more than you'd expect.
And then the second thing is, of the remaining 17p, according to Ofgem figures, about 1.5 pence of that is profit for the supplier, and the rest is to operate a supplier business.
That's interesting, because when you think about the energy costs, the assumption, quite understandably, would be that a lot of it comes straight to us. Price rises that happen are just companies trying to make more money, but that shows here that it really isn't the case.
Yeah, exactly. So a price rise can happen because the cost of any one of those participants goes up. So the cost of generating electricity goes up, or the cost of getting the electricity and gas from those generators to people's homes goes up. And that's all regulated by Ofgem. So the whole Ofgem determine the maximum amount we're allowed to charge in a market-wide price cap, and they refresh that. They recalculate that once every 6 months. So if any of those costs have gone up, then that's what causes the price rise. And yeah, it's definitely important to note that the majority of price rises are because of those other supply chain participants, not a supplier. And the reason that suppliers sort of bear the brunt of those supply rises is because we're the ones that have the relationship with the customer, because we're that end point.
Yeah.
And that's right. We should have a really good relationship with the customer. But that's where it's important to also communicate that there's all these other participants that add to that cost.
Well, that's fantastic. Well, Archie, thank you very much for joining me today and giving us all that information. I've definitely learned a lot today. That's very helpful, and I'm sure it'll be very helpful to any of our listeners.
Pleasure, Martin. Thanks for having me.
That was Energy Matters. Thank you for listening. And if you ever need us, the best place to start is online at utilita.co.uk. And remember, if you haven't already, make sure you download our award-winning My Utilita app and control your energy anywhere, anytime. Available from the App Store and Google Play. All information is correct at the time of recording.